Evening. This is the meeting of the Air Conservation Commission on Thursday, March 26, 2026, here in Air Town Hall. With us this evening are Vice Chair
Mark
Phillips. My fingers know how to type that. Vice Chair Mark Phillips, Member George Bacon, Clerk Jenna Maya, Conservation Agent Heather Hampson, Member John Schmallenberger, and I am Jessica Gino, currently Chair until John wants it back. So, first on the agenda would be approval of the agenda. Any changes?
I have no changes to the agenda.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next we have approval of the meeting minutes for March 12th, 2026. I did not find anything to raise a ruckus about.
Therefore, they must have been
They must have been perfect. Anybody else?
They all look good. Beautifully written.
Thank you. Very nice.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for March 12th as written?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, the chair votes aye. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Next on the agenda is the continued public hearing for the notice of intent for Sawyer May LLC for the project at Orion Park Drive. There is no DEP number for this project. It's solely reviewed under the Air Wetland Bylaw. And with
Good evening,
us,
board members.
hello,
How you doing?
good.
All right. You?
So
Good, thanks.
state your name for the camera.
Joe Cataldo, manager of Sawyer May LLC.
Okay, and we did a site walk last Saturday, which was, what was the date of that? March
22nd?
22nd? 21st?
21?
21, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
21st. And reviewed the site. We don't apparently have any issues. We really appreciate the fact that you relocated the angle of the stormwater drain easement to the basin a little bit further, so it's completely outside of the 0 to 25 foot buffer zone. To what Heather has claimed is not probably a vernal pool, but is an isolated wetland subject to flooding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isolated border vegetated well.
Okay. One of those.
Yeah, it's not subject to impact.
All right, do we have any special conditions we want to talk about?
I think we still, I don't know if Joe wanted to update the commission on where they are with natural heritage in the inspection that their consultant Goddard had gone out and done.
Right.
We probably should start there.
So, Madam Chairman, I forwarded kind of the order of events
Okay.
to Heather yesterday, which I believe you circulated to the board,
I should have, if not, I'll do it first thing in the morning.
which Goddard has gone out to the site.
Okay.
They have contacted Tim from Natural Heritage,
Natural
Mass Fish and Wildlife et al.
Yeah.
And there is kind of a order of events that has to happen in which they're in the process of Goddard Consulting is writing a report which they should have out the end of this week or early next week. They did not see any turtle habitat, but they didn't expect that they would given the time of the year. And there's a chronological set of events. They submit that form to Mass Fish and Wildlife. They have a chance to review it, make their comments on to do, not to do, no action needed. So that's kind of where it's at. So.
Was the question of the barbed wire,
Fencing.
letting it stay in there or having it removed while everything's being done, was that raised with Goddard?
I did not raise that But certainly, this was really focused on, they were there before we went there last Saturday.
Yeah.
So I did not have a chance to talk to Mark Arnold about that, but certainly we can do that. That's not
Yeah.
a problem at all.
Did you want to get an opinion from Goddard on whether that was?
Yeah, I think having an opinion from Goddard or maybe mentioning it in some sort of report to Natural Heritage to have that in there, because I don't know if it's going to serve any sort of purpose, if there is any turtle activity or others out there, that having that, leaving that fence there would act as a barrier to keep any creatures from furthering into the development. I think would be beneficial. I mean, obviously we would, if it were to come out, we've already stated when the hearing first started about having some sort of barrier on the cul-de-sac so we're not getting anything in the road.
Right.
So we would look at doing that, but I think having that, keeping that fence that's already there up would already do most of that anyway. Because once we talk about, if we do take it out and we start doing some plantings, that'd be a very nice nesting area for turtles if we had that.
Sure. I just don't know what effect the lower strand of barbed wire would have, but I wasn't really.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the
paying
barbed wire; it was
attention.
the wire fencing that was already out. There's a wire fence that's the old stockade fencing that's up. The barbed wire, I think, was on top of that had been fallen down.
Certainly we can address that. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, my druthers would personally be, well, there's this opportunity in the area to clean up.
Sure.
some
Yeah,
of
so it's one of those
the-
things, do we clean it up and take it out,
Yeah.
or is it serving some sort of purpose by obstructing the view of wildlife from getting into what will now be
Yeah.
a developed
But as you said, deer would just jump over
Yeah, deer
it.
would just jump over it.
And it's wide enough in between
It's wide
the
enough
wires that I
for
don't think
squirrels
it's
and
gonna-
anything else, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it, if it would make any sort of difference or not.
So we can't do anything anyways until we
Hear from Natural
hear from
Heritage.
Natural
Right.
Heritage.
Fish and
So I'd
Wildlife,
love
yep.
to have that question
Yes.
put to them. Because
Yeah, and
it's-
I might dig through my emails too and
Yeah.
see if I can find somebody there and ask their question to them, because I'm not a turtle expert.
Can you send me an email just that the board's requesting just to
Yes.
have this addressed? That way I can
Yeah,
forward it to them and we can get an answer on that.
I mean, that's, my druthers would be to remove wire, but what do the rest of you feel?
I'm indifferent. I think it's been there long enough that whatever's living there knows it's there and will go around it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, as I said,
I think we should remove it. I mean, it's probably serving no purpose.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just junk there, along with the two tires. Jen?
I think if it can be done with like little disturbance, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
okay.
Well, I think the other thing that the board might want to think about going forward, once we do develop that roadway, is we have to relocate that path to get access to the back. So the question is going to be, certainly we don't want that path on our property, but obviously it's got to, the town needs the access to the detention basin, but also I think that is part of the deeded restriction that
Yeah.
people have the right to walk out in that area. So clearly the wire should be, it should be made safe.
Yeah.
I
John,
forgot-
what
I
did
forgot
you
about that
think
part.
on that?
I'd like to see it gone.
Okay, I did forget about that part about the access.
Okay, so we're waiting to hear from Natural Heritage. That's the one thing I would be interested in getting an opinion on to put in as a condition. Any other special conditions that we'd consider for this, just in terms of starting a draft? Order of conditions?
I'd have to double check the plans. We would want some sort of barrier around the bulb of the cul-de-sac for the purpose of keeping any wildlife from going into the road as best we can, whether it's just maybe a vinyl fencing or something there. That would be one thought that I would think of for that. But again, we would just walk around it, so what purpose would it serve? Or maybe just sort of plantings there to try to create some sort of buffer there, so it's more like see, well, over the head, vegetation
Yeah.
and road. They're not going to want to go to that road. They're going to want to stay where it's nice and cool
Okay.
and shaded. So plantings there. As far as other than that goes, obviously we're going to restrict the time of year in which construction would take place. more or less, even though that's not necessarily a vernal pool and there was no habitat there, we would still try to probably restrict where that time frame would happen.
And natural heritage may very well
And
do
natural
that,
heritage
too.
may very well do that too. That's what we gotta wait for them and see what they would say.
They'll probably require turtle sweeps before you start doing anything.
That's what they went out to do. They went to go
Okay.
look for that.
No, but I mean, when they get out,
Mm-hmm.
they do a turtle sweep before they go and doze something, you know?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
If we could get a copy of a rough draft or a draft copy of your order of conditions, that would be wonderful, just so we could send it to our lender. Just,
Oh,
we
yes,
now,
we need that for
right, we now have the decision from planning board, but also that decision is conditioned upon us receiving your order of conditions. But if we could get that, that'd be helpful, just so we can keep things moving along. And
Okay.
if you could send me that about
Yeah.
your concern about the wires, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I think it's just more or less making sure that whatever, if it was to be removed, that it would know it wouldn't disturb anything.
Okay.
That's more what we're looking at now. Yep.
Okay, so I don't think we have anything else for tonight other than continue the hearing until our next meeting. Heather, when do you think you can get a draft? Next week? Or?
Yeah, I should be able to get a draft on by the end of next week.
Okay.
And I'll try to get a report from Goddard as to,
Yeah.
where we're at, just so we certainly keep us on the agenda for next meeting, and I'll try to get an update from them where they stand, because I believe we're waiting for the report to be sent to Fish and Wildlife, and then they have a certain time frame to respond to that.
Respond to that, yeah.
So I'll certainly stay on.
Okay, so at this point, any other questions from
Yeah, I gotta look at that.
board members?
Thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
coming out on Saturday.
Thank you.
Take care.
And take a motion to continue the public hearing to our next meeting on April 9th.
So,
Second?
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a good night.
Okay, next on the agenda is, what do I have? Opening of a public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file number yet to be issued by Mass DEP for New England Power Company, and we have with us tonight Allison Milliman. And you are from BSC Group, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Would you like to take us through the
Sure.
application?
Again, for the record, my name's Allison Milliman. I'm with BSC Group, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant, New England Power Company. This is a transmission line maintenance project, so they're replacing the existing assets on 3 lines in the town of Ayer, and that's the 337 line, which is 345 kV, and then there's 2 115 lines in that right-of-way, the K137E and the L138E. The 337 line will be replaced in its entirety, so every single structure through the 6 towns it runs through will be replaced. The other 2 115 kV lines, I could refer to them as the KNL lines just to make it simple. That's a more just like overhead maintenance for the most part. There are a couple one-off structure replacements required to accommodate the upgrades, but for the most part, it's overhead work to install high-speed communications and just improve hardware on those.
Okay. Let me pause for a second.
Sure.
Mark, do you have to recuse yourself, or what do we do with you on this?
I'm checking if it's recuse or abstain.
Well, you'd abstain from a vote if you weren't allowed to vote. You recuse yourself, you actually leave the room, it ends up being a conflict.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be an abstain.
Abstain. Okay, Mark Phillips will abstain from the vote because he is an employee of National Grid.
Yeah, if he was actually working on this specific project, he would
Then you'd have to recuse.
Correct.
Yes. Continue.
Sure. Also proposed along with the transmission pole improvements are, improvements to existing access roads and some work pad development. That's just a requirement. I think this commission's seen that before on other transmission line projects for the equipment to be able to come into the right of way and safely do the work. For the most part, the large majority of this right of way is in natural heritage, endangered species program habitat. The company we did provide a checklist last year, about February 2025. We've been working with Natural Heritage since then. We are going to be going through a conservation management permit with them. Right now, we're going through the drafting process with our reviewer and just basically firming that up. I did also provide a copy of this notice of intent to Natural Heritage, so they typically, will provide a letter to the commission within 30 days of that. So that should be coming momentarily, I expect, for just an update from them on where we stand with our permitting for that. We don't have any permanent impacts proposed in Ayer to bordering vegetated wetlands. It's all temporary matting that will be removed post-construction. The impacts to the bordering land subject to flooding that you see on the Wetlands Protection Act form is also temporary in nature and associated with construction matting. The bulk of the grading that's proposed is shown right now, outside of the substation area. And we have VHB on our project as the civil design consultant. And they've already gone in front of the Ayer Planning Board to review this project for the stormwater ordinance requirements.
Okay, and you're doing total of 10 of the structures are within jurisdictional consideration.
Yes.
Out of 32 in Ayer. Okay.
Are they wood now? Poles?
Let me see.
Are they going to be metal poles?
So there's a mix out there, so I don't want to misspeak.
Okay.
Let's see, and I'm getting old. Let's see.
Yeah, that's a familiar look.
Yeah, so the case, like you can see here in this picture, like there's a old metal pole there.
Yeah.
This is wood. That appears to be wood, and there's a metal pole there. But they're working on three of these lines. So one of the lines is not getting worked on.
Every single time.
But when they do replace poles, they are going to steel poles.
Yeah.
They're for these transmission lines that they don't really replace wood at this point. So the 337 line, which is the 345 kV line, and that's on the southernmost portion of the right of way. Those are going to be like the concrete. They'll be pouring concrete for those. So they'll be putting the axle will be using the steel towers for those. You'll see that we did a lot of avoidance and minimization through the reviews in turtle habitat. That's why the impacts are so minimal. Is because it's basically all matting just to protect the habitat.
And the area you're going to grade that will improve stormwater, that's outside of our jurisdiction? Or is that?
Yes. So we have one graded area. The graded area that it's not there anymore.
Which page is it up?
Sure.
But at the substation?
So we looked at page 1. That was grading outside
This
the
one?
substation. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then the other one is on the next page, page 2. There's a graded work pad, basically in the island there for the entrance to the Sandy Pond substation. And then there's call-outs here just to be aware for that sometimes in order to place the mats safely, they do need to sometimes key them in. So they may have to do a little bit of light grading just in order to place them flat, because they can't be wobbly. So they need to. So there is some minor disturbance associated sometimes in uplands with placing mats. But those ones they'll remove them. We'll make sure that they use a conservation seed mix if Natural Heritage approves. Sometimes they don't want us to seed, especially in the sandy soils, because they don't want to lose that valuable nesting habitat. If we are going to be seeding, they'll probably request like a little blue stem or something, like a light seeding of that. And then if you turn to page 4, there's we did do a vernal pool delineation. So there's one access road improvement adjacent to a field delineated vernal pool. It's not a certified vernal pool. It's just BSC took. We did a review of isolated wetlands as a due diligence. So we do have one field delineated vernal pool, I'll refer to it as, with a proposed access improvement adjacent to it. But you'll see that there's no impact to the actual pool, and then we're proposing the sediment controls between the road improvement and the field delineated vernal pool.
Okay, questions from the board? John?
No.
Jen?
Nope.
George?
No.
Mark, you're abstained, and I don't have any. Is this one, Heather, what are your concerns?
So, just one question. So I know all the other ones that National Grid has come by to the town to do, they're usually 2 lines, and 1 year they did replace one set of poles, and then like a year or 2 later they came back and did the other one. Is this just one set of poles, or is it again like the 2 lines, and they're going to do one year and one another?
I think that's all going to depend on the outage sequence.
Okay.
So they have to shut off the electricity for certain activities to perform them. So I guess I always like to tell commissions that don't expect that they'll be out there more than once.
Oh yeah.
Because just the nature of the
The
work.
All the ones I know they're currently doing that I think we permitted a year or so ago, there was 2 set lines in one easement, and they permitted one, and then they finished those ones and then came back to permit the other side. So I was just wondering if this is similar where it's 2 sets in one easement, or if it's just one,
We're permitting for work on 3 lines in this
Yeah.
notice.
and it's 3 lines in one easement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was the
Going
question. So it's 3 single line, yeah, that's the question, so yeah. Okay. I don't drive that part of town very often.
Specifically doing them 115 with the 345, so that way you only have to come in once.
And you had a section on alternatives analysis, and short of relocating all the power lines, there's really not an alternative.
No.
So, but thank you for including that.
Yes.
Question, site walk, necessary, or it's all the work is within the right-of-way, existing right-of-way?
Yes.
The one thing your application asked for a waiver on doing some work within the
No
no disturb zone, but as I understand it, this area is historically already disturbed.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
I don't think we need a written waiver, or
I
do we?
don't think it'd hurt to have it in the decision,
request. Okay.
and have the request done. I mean, obviously and even then, I think within the regulations, it might even exempt. If
Yeah.
it doesn't, it might be something we need to add, to have an exemption for,
Yeah.
existing utilities. Because that's exactly what this is. This is maintenance to an existing utility. So I don't see an issue with having it in there, but it might be something if it's not
Yeah.
worded that way within our regulations that we might need to change that.
It did seem that BSC Group noted that some of the conditions for exemption under utility maintenance or a limited project are clear in the Wetland Protection Act, but not replicated in our bylaw.
Correct, yeah.
So is that something we should
It's probably
correct?
something,
When we
because
get
again,
there.
I'm in the midst of modifying our regulations, and I had another thought today or yesterday about an item we needed to add in there, so slowly making our way through and adjusting them.
Would this be in our regulations or the bylaw?
That
itself?
would be, I'd have to verify that in the bylaw, and then I'll check and put it in the regulations.
Okay,
If not, we'd be going to town meeting in the fall to fix that.
yeah. Well, thank you for pointing that out. So, any questions from members of the public? Okay. So, at this point, we can't do anything really until we hear from Natural Heritage, so,
And DEP.
and DEP, right, obviously the number.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Number in their comments.
so continue to April 9th and see what we've heard by then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you come to a decision about sidewalk?
Yeah, did you have a decision about sidewalk?
My own feeling is, George, what do you think?
I mean, it's a long line.
It's a
I mean, you're
long
not going to
line.
want to walk the whole line. Is it something that you, because there has been so much work, I think, gosh, since I started here, they just finished one up at the substation. They were still finishing that one. I think that one's still open. Is it something that the commission would want to just see, because that work that was done at the substation and then a little bit going down the line, since there has been so much work over the last 4 to 5 years, or is it something that you just would be fine sending myself, having me go out and do something, or as a group?
I trust Heather. Wordsworth.
I agree with Jen.
I didn't hear what she said.
Just agree. I trust Heather and her
Oh,
wisdom
right,
to
right.
check
Yeah, I
out
think
work.
ordinarily we do site walks on things, but this is,
It's a big one.
it's a big one, it's national. I mean, you've got a,
You need hard hat and all that. fun
yeah,
stuff,
but
and
you
all that.
also have a track record, and this is all within an
Exactly.
existing
Yeah.
disturbed area. So I don't really have any concerns. You're abstained, but, John,
I don't think we need to do a sidewalk.
for this one? Okay. So we'll just continue the public hearing to, have a motion to continue it until April 9th.
So moved.
Did you want to, I'm sorry, before you
Oh.
did, did you want to see if the public had any questions?
She did.
I
You
did.
did, oh, okay, sorry.
Each did that already, yes.
Brain fog.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Wait,
Abstain.
was there a motion?
Oh, we need
Yeah,
a second.
Yeah. Who seconded?
You're gonna need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair
Aye.
votes aye. Motion passes 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you all too.
I'm still learning the ropes of being in the chair seat.
I think you're doing great.
Okay,
I was like,
My brain just takes it. My brain just takes it. I think of it.
all right, next on the agenda is consideration of the bids we received for our request for proposals for 2026
Pond treatment.
pond treatment for the treatment of invasive or nuisance vegetation on Sandy Pond, Flanagan Pond, and Pine Meadow Pond.
Correct.
So Heather, what
Yes.
did we receive?
So we received our 2 bids, one from our current vendor that we've been using the last few years, Water and Wetlands, and one from Solitude. Both came in on the before the deadline on the 16th of March. Solitude's bid came in at $34,465.
can you say that one more time? 34.
$34,465. When you review the bid, though, it appeared to leave out, it had the nutrient sampling as an additional cost at $1360. The bid, which is one of the things we had within the request of proposal to do a nutrient testing, so we'd have a baseline for that.
1,300?
$1,360, yeah. Per pond. There was different amounts per pond. That was, so yeah, it was $1,360 for Sandy Pond, and the other 2 ponds was $850 a pond. Water and Wetlands came in at $30,766, and that one did include the nutrient testing for nitrates, nitrogen, pH level, phosphorus, and others included in the bid, and that was for all ponds. So that gives us with the low bid to Water and Wetlands. I would
Okay.
recommend that that's where the commission votes to approve. It's the vendor we have been using. They are the lowest, and they did have that additional item put into the actual bid. If you look through the bids and you add up the numbers, they don't math right, but
I think we
when I
started,
do all
don't
the
want
numbers
it.
up, when you add up what they have in each line, like each pond for a total,
Yeah.
they don't, and I add up what comes up, they don't add up for what they put as a program cost. So I don't know if I'm missing something, but I have to go with what they put as their total program cost, because I'm assuming that's what the cost of their bid will be. And that's what I have to go by, so that's what I did. And even when I add, if I add all the extras up, well, Water and Wetlands ends up being less.
Did
I did all the math.
they address all the items we wanted them?
They
in
did
the
address
RFP?
all the items we wanted to. They, They both have the algae treatment as if needed. When you look at water and wetlands, they give different options, whereas Solitude only had a algicide treatment, whereas water and wetlands had the option of putting the sulfates or a filter at the stormwater outlets. That was included in water and wetlands. That wasn't in Solitude's for the extra.
Okay.
If we needed to do something like that, that wasn't in Solitude's bid.
My memory is that the things like nutrient testing and pH levels, we added in
We added
to
in
our
for this,
RFP because
this
water
year.
and wetlands
has
started.
been suggesting it for a while.
Well, they just did it the first time they did this
Oh,
for
did
us.
they?
They were doing it in their field reports that they would send after their treatments. And so when we did the next RFP, it's like, yeah, let's put that
That's
in
for the
as a
back end.
stated.
And I know they do
Yeah.
the dissolved oxygen levels and
Yeah.
the pH level, but the nitrate and nitrogen levels are not in there.
That might be different, yeah. Okay, I see we do have some members of the public here. Does anybody have questions about, are you here for questions about this? Okay.
I have a question. Has the town looked at other options besides treating with chemicals?
I'm sorry, can I just get your name for
Sure.
the?
Christine Boulay, 15 Deer Run.
So when it comes to other options for invasive treatments, it comes down to a cost item. In an access, we looked into it 2 years ago. Other treatments that can be done, we usually take mechanical equipment. Those will then, where we're looking at, when we go to town meeting, we'll be asking for around $20,000 for the warrant article to fund this because of previous funds in there. In order to do a mechanical treatment of the pond, you're looking at $100,000 or so per pond, not just all three. And then it becomes a problem of access to get that mechanical equipment into the pond. We don't own any property on Flanagan to get a piece of equipment in.
Yeah.
We looked at drawdown of the ponds to do that, to try to get the water levels down, which is what other towns do. One, DEP put a stop on that for a while. We're not allowing drawdowns, but even if they were, drawdowns can't happen with ours because all of our ponds are connected. So we can't draw down one because it's just going to get flowed in from another one. Because everything flows from Long Pond on the Groton side all the way through Sandy Pond to Flanagan. Pine Meadow Pond does flow into Flanagan as well, and then everything goes across Central Ave over to into Grove Pond, into Plowshare Pond, and then into Nashua. That's how our water system works. So a drawdown wouldn't work either. When you go and look, I've done a couple of different workshops for these. Because of climate change in the warming climate, water's warming faster than our air. So the invasives and nuisance vegetation in water is happening faster than it is on the ground. And it's whatever effects we would have from the chemical treatment is actually less than what would be to keep these invasive species growing in our ponds, because they will choke out the natives. It will affect the wildlife that are in there. Mm-hmm. So that it ends up being a cost, like a negative benefit type of analysis that you'd have to look at. And DEP suggests that it's better to treat and get rid of the invasives than it is to let them go. And it's just a matter of and keeping an eye on which ones you have, because the amount of invasives we have and the kinds we have are just going to get more given the warming waters that we have.
Yeah. We had also looked at what Littleton was doing, because they were experimenting with mechanical harvesting. But they had, at the time, I think they were getting money from a telecommunications tower to fund it, but their annual treatment cost was in excess of $100,000, which I think we would have difficulty passing at town meeting. At the same time, they had tried that. They had to do those treatments later in the season because you can't harvest what hasn't come to the surface.
Yeah.
And that would present difficulties, I think, for swimmers and such. But they also found that the following year they had to go back to chemical treatments on Spectacle Pond at least.
Correct. Yeah.
Because it hadn't been effective enough and they were getting overgrowth. Another question that's perennially raised by some people is the question of using sterile carp. And that's not a game changer because it's illegal in Massachusetts and also has a whole range of mixed effects where other states have used it. So we're sort of left with this and trying to keep up with the situation as best we can. And our regular treatment program has been keeping good control over the invasives in all 3 ponds, as well as cutting back the nuisance overgrowth, which would also choke out a pond. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so basically, I think then we just have to take a vote on awarding the contract to
Correct.
Water and Wetlands.
Correct. Yep.
George, would you like to make a motion?
Motion to award the contract for aquatic nuisance plant control to Water and Wetlands
For 2026?
2026 in the amount of $30,766.
Is there a second?
Yep, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? And the motion passes.
That's not to say that going forward, if our treatments seem to keep working, that we won't continue to try to, hopefully there'll be cheaper other alternatives that come across the path. I just haven't come across any yet, because when I did look at this past
Yeah.
time, it was 2 time meetings before. So this year would be 2 years. And it was the town of Peabody had done it, and it was over almost $200,000 to treat 1 pond.
Yeah.
And it was a matter of access point at this point. If we could get it into Sandy Pond from the town beach, obviously it would be an access to Flanagan. And then, yeah, it has to grow up, and it would be wonderful if we could just dredge, and that would be dredging the whole bottom. It's a whole state permitting and allowing to do that as well.
Well, dredging
So,
would be upwards of $1 million
Oh,
or
yes.
something, wouldn't
Yep.
it? So
we could just get rid of the
we're
pond.
doing the best.
We're doing the best we can. None of
Yeah.
us want to see more chemicals put in there, but we do it. It is a spot treatment. It's not a full douse of the pond.
Okay.
Hello, Rachel Kozera, 30 Groton, Harvard Road. I just had a question with regard to, I mean, obviously invasive species are invasive for a reason. They like the habitat they're in and with the warming climate and what have you. Is there potentially an end in sight if there's, community effort with regard to eradicating the different species? Or, do we have to do chemicals every year if we're able to, apply the chemicals and then try to prune what we have?
Yeah.
I know it's probably like herding cats, but
Yeah, we have been, going from, heavier treatment on Flanagan Pond 1 year because Sandy Pond did really well, different year, and so we do spot treatments to control and not do whole pond treatments. But problem with hand pulling for certain species like milfoil is you're pulling them up by hand and you're breaking it off into a lot of little fragments, which if you ever saw the Sorcerer's Apprentice, where break up the broom and suddenly you've got 2 brooms, then 4, then 8, and that's what the fragmentation of hand pulling some of those species does. Water chestnuts is great for hand pulling, but things like milfoil are not.
And in the depth of the pond would be an
Yeah.
issue with that too.
Yeah.
But we previous ones, we did a heavier treatment on Sandy Pond. That pond is now in a much better health. So they do a much less treatment on there, and they're focusing now on Flanagan Pond. And given a couple of years from now, that might be now more eradicated. They could be able to scale that back. So it's a matter of the more we treat and the more on top of it we go, the better it becomes. But yes, as far as the reason the invasives flow so well is because they don't have as anything do. You have so much Norway maple. They drop too many seeds. They keep their leaves longer. They choke at everything else, and that's why invasives do take over. Is because they have this mechanism in their genetics to just take over everything. So the best thing we do the best we can, and we have made progress. I mean, before I started, and I think some of the commission members, that the ponds weren't treated for a long time, and they had to heavily treat. And since then, which has been I don't know how many years, there's been gradual improvements every year. So we're getting better. Our treatments have scaled back on some ponds, and hopefully in another year or so we'll be able to scale back on Flanagan. I think more or less on Flanagan they're focused on the water lilies that kind of just grow in the alcoves, and that's where we'll look at the nutrient testing to see if their nutrient levels are really high on Flanagan Pond compared to Sandy Pond, and that might be a contribute to why there's so many water lilies there. I think also it's due to water flow.
It's also shallower.
It's shallower, yeah. So, but there's ways we can look at to try to maybe help and get information out to abutters and try to do some more public outreach once we get those nutrient levels back to figure out how we can try to help with that.
And I believe, like you said, was it, I think before I was here, right, it was, you guys had tried like skipping a year to see how that went, and things got a little out of control or something, I thought I remember.
When I first started, I think we weren't doing it every year anyways.
Okay.
And it got way out of control. And Flanagan Pond, the community formed a Friends of Flanagan Pond with basically villagers with pitchforks that went to the select board, and that took, I think, to get that one back in control was about $60,000 worth of treatment just on that pond alone. So we have found doing it, and now we have a supportive town manager and select board on this, but keeping up with it on a yearly basis. And it is going to be a constant game of catch up because of climate change. I mean, last year we had, beginning of the season, the water in Sandy Pond at least was very, and I think Flanagan as well, was very cloudy green with the filamentous algae.
Yeah, but that was just naturally forming algae.
Natural, but that's a change from something we've seen over the last few decades.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we hope we don't have
investigate
we hope we don't have another blue-green algae bloom like we did like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was the perfect conditions for that, with the drought and then a heavy rain that just washed everything.
Yeah.
Is there a potential to like aerate, just with regard to the algae and what have you? Does the algae just thrive because of certain, like obviously the temperature of the water, but like, is it not circulating properly? Is that how the algae functions?
I think it's different sort of algae will function a different way, and I'm not much of a biologist to know that. I think part of this issue that they have too, and I can't speak that it's just this, but the Canadian geese cause a havoc on it as well. I don't know what that does to the nutrient levels. There's not much we can really do about that. I mean, we protected an invasive animal.
I was just curious.
It's one of those. I should try to reach out to some of the other conservation agents to see. I know we have erosion control like groups. I wonder if there's a aquatic pond treatment like subgroup that we could find to try to get, or I don't know.
I think
because they don't ever see them at conferences either. To get invasive species for the land, but not much for aquatic, because I don't know how much of it's out there, because we are, I think in every town are battling like the same 4 or 5. Everyone's got water chestnuts, the midfoil, the fanwort, and a couple others that those are the ones we're trying to do. Luckily we have
curly leaf pondweed.
We don't have any, I haven't seen any reports of because we don't have as much boat traffic, but bringing boats in. When the boat launch comes in, that'll be a whole thing there. More invasive being brought into town on boats, but because we don't have that, we're not getting the zebra mussels and other snails and other things that might be coming in. But that's how these things spread, is people not in other communities aren't cleaning their boats properly when they're going from one.
But from a flow perspective, that's always flowing, right? Because it's coming down from Long Pond.
It is. What happens when you get to when you go to Flanagan, you can tell it. That straightaway that's narrower is pretty clear, and then when you get to some of the alcoves, goes to the Groton Harvard Road or over in the corner of Calvin, when it turns up into Oak Ridge, you get a ponding there because it tucks in, and that's where you'll get some of those issues, and that's where we had some of the algae come in, was along the shorelines where the water doesn't flow as fast.
Also, doesn't the town beach put in an aerator in the summer?
No.
I thought they did at one point.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Okay, I'm imagining that.
One thing that we tried to do was to introduce a bill that would, bylaw to eliminate fertilizers.
Nitrogen-based fertilizers.
And it passed overwhelmingly at town meeting. And the state shut us down.
The Attorney General.
Because
they're already not allowed.
Yeah, but they don't do anything about it, so.
Yeah, there's the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources that theoretically has control over fertilizers in the state. Only Cape Cod is allowed to develop their own bylaws.
Mhm.
But the problem with, state cutbacks and such, they don't do anything that enforces it. So we thought local bylaw might help, but
Because
no.
whoever lives around the pond is going to affect the pond
Yeah.
to a certain degree, no matter
Mhm.
what. Some more than others.
We're lucky here, the majority of the people on the pond, if you look, have a nice vegetated buffer. Their lawn doesn't go all the way to the edge. There are quite a few that have trees and leaf debris and not just lawn all the way to the edge, which is really nice and good to see, and a lot of trees along it too. We have very good residents here. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
seeing we see the nutrient levels come back. They may come back surprisingly low, and we'll just go, oh, okay, that's nice.
That would be surprising.
We gotta think positive in that aspect.
Another question, sorry.
Yes.
In the reporting of the companies that are hired to do the treatments, do they report on the oxygen level before the treatment
Yes.
and the oxygen level after the treatment?
Yes, we will get a treatment survey and then a post-treatment survey. So they'll go out and do the pre-treatment survey late May, early June to get those levels, and then they combine that. So if you look at the end of your report, it'll have both in there. That says what it was pre and post, and they'll do that. They'll do the survey before they treat and then after, and put that in their year-end report.
Yeah. But each time they come and do a treatment, they do that
Correct.
testing
Yep.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come back the next day and test again, but you can see between the treatment times they come in
Mhm.
that it's still in good shape.
Yeah. They do water clarity, the oxygen level, and then I think temperature.
Yeah. So they have a good handle on that. Okay, next on the agenda would be office and number updates. Take it away, Heather.
All right.
And then we'll get to public input after that.
Just a few. So our next meeting on the 9th, beyond the two public hearings, we will have our friends at Autumn Ridge giving their conservation restriction report.
It's been a year already?
It's been a year already.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a little bit delayed because the snow and ice kept them out from doing their walk. And we will have 12 Willow Road coming back for an amended order of conditions. The Earth Day event's coming up, it's because April starts next week. I believe the tentative date and time, I don't think it's been determined, but I believe the date for the closure of McPherson Road and that stroll along that for Earth Day will be on Wednesday, April 22nd. The townwide cleanup will be on April 25th starting at 9 with pickup at designated areas at the town beach. What else we have? Been doing some construction stuff has been started up again. Been out to Lincoln Hills a few times to investigate some stormwater items. While doing that, I noticed a stormwater issue at 91 Groton Harbor that got resolved, thank goodness, from that, from the heavy rain we had.
Stratton Hill has started up again.
Stratton Hill started up again. I missed a site walk. The planning board went out on Tuesday. I wanted to go out with that, but I had a morning. So I got to reach out to them so I can go out on site for that and take a walk around through there. National Grid has hit for the substation on Bishop Road have been submitting their SWIP applications. I'm going to reach out to to BSC, the woman that's been doing the SWIP for them, and I want to go out just to see how it's going because it looks like there's a new dewatering area up by the replication area. So I just want to get a walkthrough on that. I don't think we have any other projects that have been. I do need to get a hold of seeing where we're at with 3rd Street as well.
And the West Main Street Bridge is starting
West
up.
Main Street Bridge is restarting. They should be installing the erosion controls beginning of next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. They did call. So if we see any work going out on there this week and early next week, it's just the installation of the erosion controls. And once those are in, I'll go out and take a look at them.
Yeah.
And they will be putting the signs at the DPW and everything will be putting their signs up and everything, let people know that bridge work is starting very soon.
Which will be good.
It'll be very good. It'll be good to have a stream crossing that meets more of the standard than it currently does.
And to replace the existing bridge, which if you look at it from underneath is scary.
You wouldn't drive over it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't drive.
Yeah.
Just the head wall. The head wall was falling.
John, any updates from you?
I don't have any.
Jen? Nope. George?
No?
Mark? Me? No. Public input is our next on our agenda, and we do have 2 people here. Do you have, or 3? Well,
yeah.
Rachel, you're often.
You know your freedom.
Thanks, guys.
Do you have any questions, or you're just watching us because we're a wonderful group to watch?
Just like to be concerned, that's all. Things we
Thank you.
keep up.
Thank you.
It's nice when people come.
Yeah, we can because we're with PACE.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
The
Yeah.
pace.
Yes.
We'd love to welcome you if you want to join us.
That sounds great.
Okay. Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, anything else?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we'll have a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second?
and we will, all in favor?
Aye.
We adjourned at 7:50.